Good evening, everyone. Want to welcome everyone to this evening's meeting of the Senate Committee on Legislative Operations and Elections. Madam Secretary, we do have a quorum. All members are present, and appreciate everyone being here at this late hour. I know schedules have kind of hit and miss right now. It's just so much is going on with sine die looming, and we've got two items on our agenda today. We have a hearing on Senate Concurrent Resolution 13, and we are going to work session two measures that we heard yesterday. And with that, if I could turn that over to, yes, our policy analyst, director of the research division, Michael Stewart. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. I think everybody has their copies. So the first bill on work session today is Assembly Bill 365. You recall that it was brought to us yesterday by Assemblywoman Peters, and it declares that it's a public policy of this state that persons employed by this state be afforded respect, dignity, and equity in the workplace. It requires the departments of the state government to prepare and submit to the governor and the legislature an annual report concerning equity in the workplace, which includes a summary of each complaint filed by an employee in the immediately preceding calendar year, which alleges conduct that is not lawful, but is against the declared public policy of the state, and any action taken in response to such a complaint. The annual report relating to the Nevada Supreme Court, Court of Appeals Office of the Court Administrator, or the Supreme Court Law Library must also be submitted to the Chief Justice. The bill also requires the Administrator of the Division of Human Resources Management to evaluate annually the effectiveness of any policy of the division intended to encourage equity in the workplace for persons of color, other persons of marginalized identities, and to prepare and submit a report to the governor and the legislature concerning the results of that evaluation. Finally, the bill requires the Personnel Commission to adopt regulations for the training of supervisors and managerial employees concerning implicit bias. And there are no amendments for consideration at this time. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Director Stewart. Members, are there any questions or discussion on Assembly Bill 365? If not, I would accept a motion. I have a motion to pass from Vice Chair Lang. Is there a second? Second from Majority Leader Canizaro. Any discussion on the motion? Senator Sievers-Gansert.
Thank you, Chair Ornschall. I'm going to be a no on this legislation. So we've had a number of bills come through here, and one specifically was around sexual harassment, and I think discrimination may have been in there too. But we had protections for those who were filing reports. There's nothing in here to protect someone from retribution. There's also no structure around how to report a complaint, how to file them. So there's really no structure and process to this. So I agree with the goals and the public policy that's presented in this, but without formalizing the process and providing protections for individuals, I can't support it. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator Sievers-Gansert, and I appreciate your concerns. And I hope that the language that we amended into Senate Bill 51, I believe, hope and believe that it would protect someone who's a victim of harassment, regardless of it not being in this bill. But Senator Sievers-Gansert.
Thank you, Chair Ornschall. Just to follow up. So part of what this bill says, it's about things that are not unlawful. And so harassment is unlawful, right? So discrimination and harassment are unlawful, so which puts it in a totally different category versus something that is not unlawful, which is specifically stated in this bill. And that again, I guess I'm kind of continuing on. That's why it concerns me that there aren't any protections and also process for individuals who actually want to file a complaint. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate those concerns. Any other comments or questions? Okay, not seeing any. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Nay. Madam Secretary, please mark 3 ayes and 2 nays. Senator Severs answered. Senator Buck has nays. Thank you. Director Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, for the record, Michael Stewart, Committee Policy Analyst. Our next bill was brought to us by Assemblyman Frierson. It's Assembly Bill 441. It provides that when a legislative vacancy occurs after a general election, but before the regular session is convened, the caucus leader of the House and party of which that legislator was a member may allocate some, all, or none of the former legislator's allocated requests for drafting legislative measures, or BDRs. The bill establishes deadlines for submitting those BDRs and providing the details needed to draft the legislation, and requests allocated to other legislators are not counted against that legislator's existing BDR limits. Any such requests sent to committees must be approved by a majority of the members of the committee prior to submittal for drafting. You recall AB 441 also authorizes a legislator appointed to fill a vacancy to solicit or accept contributions from other legislators or from an organization whose primary purpose is to support legislators of a particular party or house. The contribution amount that may be accepted must not exceed $10,000 during a regular session or $1,200 for a special session. And you recall those limits are sort of the same that you have for your reimbursement rates as legislators. And the limits are placed on how the bill places limits on how that money may be spent, and the conditions are specified for the disposal of those unspent contributions. And there are no amendments for the consideration at this time.
Thank you very much, Director. Any questions, comments, or discussion about Assembly Bill 441? If not, I'd accept a motion. I have a do pass motion from Vice Chair Lang, second from Senator Cannizzaro. Any discussion on the motion? Senator Severs-Gansert.
Thank you, Chair Ornschall. I'm going to support this bill because I think it has strict limits on the amount of money, guardrails around how it can be spent, and also reporting requirements that this needs to be reported. We had the conversation during committee, I should say, on how these are reported, and they're reported during the regular cycles that we have for all contributions and expenses. And it's also been clear that during sessions, it can become a hardship on a family because it's frequent that the expenses associated with rent and travel and so forth exceed what someone may have on hand in a campaign account. And in this case, they don't have a campaign account. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator Severs-Gansert. Any other comments? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Madam Secretary, please note that that passed unanimously. And I've neglected to give out floor statements, so I will give the floor statement for that 441 to Senator Severs-Gansert. And for 360, that's okay? Yeah, okay. And for 365, I will give that to Vice Chair Lang. And our next item on our agenda is a hearing on Senate Concurrent Resolution 13. And we are very lucky to have Majority Leader Cannizzaro, who's going to present that today. And if you care, you could stay in your seat. You sure? Okay. Okay. Thank you, Majority Leader, for presenting today.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee members. For the record, my name is Nicole Cannizzaro. I represent Senate District 6, which is located in the northwest portion of the Las Vegas Valley. And I am pleased to come before you this afternoon to introduce to you Senate Concurrent Resolution number 13, which creates an interim committee to conduct an investigation into matters relating to reapportionment and redistricting in Nevada. During the 2019-2020 legislative interim, I was fortunate enough to sit on the legislature's committee to conduct an interim study of the requirements for reapportionment and redistricting in the state of Nevada. Joining me on that committee was our colleague in this committee, Senator Severs-Gansert. As you know, that study is held every 10 years in advance of the redistricting session in order to help prepare us for the redistricting exercise. Essentially, it helps us to set the stage for our redistricting efforts that would occur in 2021. As you are aware, due to delays in the delivery of necessary data from the United States Census Bureau, we were unable to conduct reapportionment and redistricting during this regular legislative session. And I don't think that anyone was anticipating that we would be in the middle of a pandemic while also trying to collect census data and conduct our redistricting exercise. And so it is because of these delays and our inability to tackle the redistricting exercise during the regular session that I bring to you Senate Concurrent Resolution number 13. As stated in the resolution, every 10 years, the Nevada Legislature is required to reapportion and redistrict the election districts for the members of the legislature, the members of the United States House of Representatives from the state of Nevada, and the Board of Regents of the University of Nevada. We also know the Census Bureau will deliver redistricting data to us during the second half of 2021. In short, we will likely need a special session to accomplish this very important task. Unfortunately, we are in the position to have already made purchases of software and mapping equipment, and we have staff lined up and ready to go, thanks to the work that was done during the interim for the redistricting commission that I mentioned before. The vast amount of census data that we do expect to receive, coupled with the need to complete reapportionment and redistricting in an expeditious manner after the receipt of the data, makes our preparations for this process even more critical. We will have a short window of time to sort of hit the ground running, as it were, once the census data is received. Of course, we must also ensure that we are complying with current case law and constitutional and statutory legal requirements. Finally, because of the census data delays and due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we have not been able to have the public hearing process we would normally have during previous redistricting sessions. And these are some of the reasons why a continuing discussion on redistricting, as set forth in Senate Concurrent Resolution number 13, is so important. So what does Senate Concurrent Resolution 13 do? The resolution calls for the creation of an interim committee to investigate matters relating to reapportionment and redistricting in conjunction with the data from the decennial census of 2020. The study committee must be composed of at least 3 members of the Assembly and at least 3 members of the Senate. The interim committee shall elect a chair and a vice chair. The interim committee must conduct a continuing examination and monitoring of any redistricting systems established or recommended for use by the Nevada Legislature, including the requirements for computer equipment, computer software, and the training of personnel. Review the case law concerning the planning for reapportionment and redistricting in other states. Review the programs of other states relating to the planning for reapportionment and redistricting, examine data from the decennial census of 2020, and consider potential issues involving such data that may arise during the process of reapportionment and redistricting. Consider possible procedures recommended for use by the Nevada Legislature to ensure that members of the public are involved in the process to the greatest possible extent, and examine any other matter relating to reapportionment and redistricting that the interim committee determines may yield information to benefit the Nevada Legislature. This final point will give the committee some much-needed flexibility as we approach the redistricting exercise. Chair Orenshaw and members of the committee, I want to emphasize again that I am fully aware we embarked on a study of redistricting last year and that we made some good recommendations, some of which were even presented to this particular committee, and I believe that those recommendations have prepared us well in the event that we were able to conduct redistricting exercises during this particular legislative session. But unfortunately, due to the delays in receiving our required census data, we are still in a bit of a flux, and we need to have those continued discussions on what I think is a really important issue. We know that we need to be expeditious once the data arrives, and we anticipate getting the raw data that we need sometime in August, potentially later than that. I think it's all a little bit flexible at this point. But Senate Concurrent Resolution number 13 allows us to review any ongoing or pending matters, to receive updates on where we are in our redistricting preparations, and most importantly, to provide the opportunity for the public to participate in advance of the redistricting exercise. That concludes my walkthrough of the reasons for bringing forward Senate Concurrent Resolution number 13, the things that are outlined within that, Mr. Chair, and I would be happy to answer any questions that you or the committee may have.
Thank you, Majority Leader, for presenting the bill. Thank you for your service on the interim committee on redistricting. Members, any questions? Senator Sievers-Ganser.
I feel like Ben Kekeffer in finance. Thank you, Mr. Chair. You always look this way. Of course I have a question. And so when I'm looking at the appointments, while there are members who are appointed from both parties, basically the majority and the minority, the the speaker and the majority leader basically control those appointments versus allowing the minority leadership to appoint their own members. And I wasn't sure if we had done that before or not. I don't remember seeing language like that.
Thank you for the question. Through you, Mr. Chair, to Senator Severs-Gansert, Nicole Cannizzaro, Senate District 6 for the record. If I am not mistaken, and there are some differences between Senate Concurrent Resolution number 13 and what we did last interim, notably because we are just a little bit behind in that process, but want to provide a place where folks can come and talk about all the issues that do have to be addressed with respect to redistricting and give that public process. But if and I'm sure that our very astute legal counsel or our policy analyst can correct me if I am wrong, but I believe that it previously has been an appointment from the Legislative Commission for the members that serve on that particular committee. So in this particular bill, we are leaving it to leadership for the majority leader and the speaker to appoint 3 members, 2 of whom can be from the same political party, 1 who would be from the minority party. And it is a smaller committee than what had previously been established with our prior resolution from last session. So it is operating a bit differently.
Thank you very much, Majority Leader. Any additional questions, members? Right, not seeing any additional questions. Thank you, Majority Leader, for presenting the measure. I'll now go to support of Senate Concurrent Resolution 13 here in the committee room. If there's anyone who wishes to speak in support of Senate Concurrent Resolution 13, just please come forward, state your name, and we appreciate you being here.
Good evening, Chairman Orange Hall and committee members. For the record, my name is Emily Prasad Zamora. That's EMILYPERSAUD-CAMORA. I'm the Executive Director of Silver State Voices, testifying on behalf of the Nevadans Count Coalition. Today, I stand in support of SR 13 because it would create an interim committee to investigate reapportionment and redistricting. Specifically, this bill will help to ensure everyday Nevadans can participate in the redistricting process. Last year, the Nevadans Count Coalition worked with various Black, Indigenous, and people of color communities and various hard-to-count communities to ensure a more accurate count. Collectively, we sent over 66,000 text messages and made over 100,000 calls and purchased mobile trucks with ads with census-related graphics with routes tailored to areas with census response rates below 50%. After the 2020 census, we shifted our outreach and advocacy to redistricting since we believe it is vital to our democracy because it helps reflect how our population has changed over the past 10 years. When talking about redistricting, we often hear the term fair maps, but apart from being used in tandem with gerrymandering, this term is seldom defined. To have fair maps is to have a transparent redistricting process with meaningful public input. During the last redistricting cycle, our legislature did a good job with both. During the required public hearings in both rural and urban meetings, nearly all residents praised the redistricting committee for its transparency and commitment to hear from Nevadans. And in 2014, the Washington Post published an article where it stated that Nevada and Indiana stood out as the states that did a remarkably good job of drawing sensible districts. SCR 13 helps ensure the redistricting process is done in a fair, efficient, and transparent manner. Thank you to Senate Majority Leader Cannizzaro and Speaker Frierson for bringing this bill forward, and I urge the committee to support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your testimony. Anyone else who wishes to speak in support of Senate Concurrent Resolution 13 here in the committee room? All right, we'll go broadcasting to the phone lines. If there's anyone who wishes to speak in support of Senate Concurrent Resolution 13.
The line is open and working. However, there's no public testimony in support at this time.
Thank you, broadcasting. We'll now go to opposition. Anyone who's opposed to the measure here in the committee room? Anyone opposed who wishes to be heard? All right, not seeing anyone come up to the microphone. Broadcasting, is there anyone on the phone lines in opposition to Senate Concurrent Resolution 13 who wishes to speak on the record?
Chair, the line is open and working. Oh, 1 second. We just had somebody connect. If you wish to provide testimony in opposition to Senate Concurrent Resolution number 13, please press star 9 now to get your place in the queue. Caller with the last 3 digits, 433. Please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You will have 2 minutes and may begin.
Hello. Thank you, Chair and committee members. I was hitting star 9 right as the last call went out for support. Is there any way I could possibly testify in support? I apologize.
Oh, yes, that's fine. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much, Chair. This is Amber Falgout. My name is spelled AMBER FALGOUT, and I am the Northern Nevada Manager with Battleborn Progress. And we are in full support of SCR 13. I want to thank Majority Leader Cannizzaro and Speaker Frierson for bringing this forward. We need a bipartisan redistricting committee that looks at redistricting in Nevada. This is an important step in making sure that redistricting is equitable for all of our communities based on the data. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
And Chair, at this time, there is no more testimony in opposition of Senate Concurrent Resolution number 13.
Thank you very much, Broadcasting. Now we'll go to neutral. Here in the committee room, anyone who wishes to speak neutral on the measure? I'm not seeing anyone come up to the microphone. If we can go to the phone lines, anyone who is neutral on the measure and wishes to be heard?
Chair, at this time, the neutral line is open and working. However, there is no testimony at this time.
Thank you very much. I will now bring it back. Any closing comments, Majority Leader, that you'd care to make? We appreciate you presenting the bill. And with that, I will close the hearing on Senate Concurrent Resolution 13. And given that it's so late in session and that this is something that certainly needs to happen, I wonder if there might be an appetite to move this bill today, members.
So moved.
I have a motion from Vice Chair Lang. Is there a second? I have a second from Majority Leader Cannizzaro. Is there any discussion on the motion? Senator Seaver-Scansert.
Thanks, Chair and Troll. I'm not going to support it because of the appointment process. I really think that each party should be able to appoint the member that they choose. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Seaver-Scansert. Any other discussion on the motion? All right, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Madam Secretary, please note the measure passed. 3 ayes and 2 nays, the 2 nays being Senator Seaver-Scansert and Senator Buck. Thank you, members. The last item on our agenda is public comment. If anyone wishes to make public comment, either here in the committee room, please come forward and proceed. If not, I don't see anybody coming up in the committee room. Broadcasting, if we can go to the phone lines.
Chair, the line is open and working. However, there's no public comment at this time.
Well, thank you very much, Broadcasting. And I thought this might be our last meeting, but it looks like we have some more bills coming over from the Assembly, so we will be meeting again, and to be determined as soon as we get some more bills to work on. But thank you, committee, for watching the agendas and being ever ready to meet here. With that, we are adjourned.